If you want to learn how Michigan is becoming a leader in women's midlife health policy, then stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today. I don't know if you were aware that Michigan wants to be a leader in women's midlife health policy, and we're going to talk about a movement that's going to help make that happen. This is a topic, and you don't know what it is yet, but this is a topic that people don't talk about, and the topic today is menopause. Sid, what is menopause, Tori?
Menopause is a stage in a woman's life where her reproductive system, I guess, takes a vacation forever. And it's also referred to as the change of life. And it's not talked about. It's sort of taboo. But it comes with a lot of symptoms like hot flashes and mood swings and heart palpitations and night sweats and heavy periods and depression, a lot of symptoms that can be debilitating to a woman's life. And because we don't talk about it, because we don't know a lot about it, so women are going through changes, and it's often very frightening, as it was for me at the time.
And we want to hear your story as well, but this doesn't just impact women, it impacts the workplace.
It impacts anyone and anything that woman comes in contact with, all of her relationships.
That's the whole wide world.
It is the whole wide world.
Yes.
And it's the largest demographic in the United States are women in some stage of menopause.
You know, I was reading a statistic that said 2 million women annually go through menopause, but only 20 to 25% get treated. And the symptoms can persist for over a decade.
Yes.
With no treatment, keep in mind, significantly affecting their health outcomes such as bone, brain, and cardiovascular health. And so, I mean, this is not just a phase. It can stay with you for a long time. And let's talk about the movement, and then we want to hear your story. So let's talk about the movement. I know the governor and some other folks actually contacted, I believe, the Michigan Women's Commission and said she wants to do something about this. Then Halle Berry came. So talk about the movement.
For sure. So the Michigan Women's Commission on March 12th hosted a conversation with the governor, Halle Berry, and Dr. Pauline Mackey. She's a world-renowned menopause researcher. And Halle Berry shared her very candid story. So Tori was actually there, and really started the conversation. And it was very much of a deep breath and a sigh of relief because she made it okay to talk about, because you think, Halle Berry's talking about it. I sure can talk about it. So that sparked everything and what this movement is now. So from that conversation, we learned that it's not only a workplace issue, as we mentioned, but it's an economic issue, as you mentioned. According to a Mayo Clinic study, we lose $1.8 billion per year because of lost work, because of menopause. People are missing out on work that are not getting paid, or they completely leave the workplace in general. And this is an issue. And if we're really centering, women just need help. Women need to be heard and understood. And same thing with the medical field. We need to be heard and believed in. And so this conversation has opened many conversations across the state. We're including community leaders, legislators, healthcare professionals, holistic healers. Those are just some examples to create a safe space for women to finally say what's been going on, get help, make friends, and this movement is so important, and they're the ones who are really moving it, and we're just there, luckily, to give them a voice.
So I'm going to ask a tough question, because there's some men out there who are probably thinking, why is this my problem? Why is this my issue? This is just the cycle of life that people go through. So why should I care about someone going through menopause?
Well, I've been on a lot of podcasts that men are the hosts of, and they're so appreciative of the conversation. They talk about how their wives want to throw the covers off and they're freezing, the mood swings, who is my wife now? It can cause relationship issues because the woman doesn't really know what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, you can't really be responsible. So these symptoms can be very severe and very scary, as I said before, and they impact your relationships profoundly. My mother was 50 and I was 14, and I didn't know why she turned into this other person. And and 50 is a time where women usually enter perimenopause, where these symptoms are most severe.
And so people need to, it's a safe space to talk about it. You can't hide this because, again, the impact can go on and on for years. It's not just, it's 6 months, 9 months, or a year. It can go on for decades, and there can be some serious side effects to going through the menopause as well. I can remember when I was back in a C-suite in another office, and they actually had a session, it was in the education, they actually had a session for women who were in the boardroom going through menopause, and you break out into sweats, and you've got to, your temperature changes everything, and you're leading a meeting. What do? And so men, women, everyone need to understand the impacts, and it's not just that. It's also like you said, it could be brain health, cardiovascular, and if you think you're going through menopause, do you get treated for that? Do you go to the doctor? What's your advice?
Well, for me, the only thing that I saw was on Oprah Winfrey. She had a Dr. Christine Northrup on, and you could go to a doctor, but there were very, very few, as there are now. And sometimes you get misdiagnosed, or there's not the health insurance. I couldn't afford to go see a doctor. First of all, I didn't really understand what was happening.
Right.
And then when she came on Oprah's show, I immediately read her book, and it was talking about pharmaceuticals, hormone replacement therapy, all of which I could not afford.
Right.
So I went through this without any remedy, and I consciously made that choice because I wanted to experience it. Because on the other side, I wanted to write about it and leave something for women coming behind me to understand. So I thought I could write about it then, but it's like, you're not on the other side.
Right.
Now I am.
Thank goodness, right?
Yes.
So what's the Women's Commission? What's the outcome? So we're talking about it, which is great. I always believe in open, transparent communication about anything. We're talking about it, but what's the so what? What's the outcome for all of this?
For sure. So while we are also hosting conversations around the state, we have a survey that's out, and we've been distributing it to women across Michigan, and it specifically asks about their menopause symptoms as it relates to the workplace. And so there are direct questions there that they can say, this is what I want to see in my workplaces, and we're going to use that data and the conversations, marry them together, and hopefully in October release a report, policy recommendations, maybe even an executive order. That's the dream that we would like to do to implement change. As you mentioned, it's one thing to listen and to give them a platform. All right, let's actually reward that and make a change.
Are other states doing anything similar?
So California actually is moving along pretty well. I think it's because of Halle Berry, but they're moving along well with menopause policy. It's kind of been introduced very, very quietly here and there, but I'm pretty sure Michigan's, again, coming up to California and meeting them.
And it's important because if you talk about women's health, you talk about Michigan being a healthy place where people want to stay and age. That awareness is one thing. I mean, that's critically important. Even if the outcome that you desire doesn't happen, it's still a safe space to talk about this. But if we can all rally behind this and try to get some kind of policy passed or accepted so that people understand in the workplace, and even doctors and insurance companies and others understand the impact that menopause can have on them personally, professionally, and physically, quite frankly. So you've got quite a story to tell. So share with us your own story about your menopausal journey.
Well, I thought it was so important that I made a film about it. It's called Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale. And the reason why I made the film is that I wanted to get women talking about it. Because when I went to find out about it, either women didn't remember, or I'm too young, and clearly they were not, or I refused to go through it. And this was around the time where a lot of the books, self-help books, were about finding a man, getting married, catching and keeping him, men are from Mars, So women wanted to stay 30 forever. They didn't want to reveal their age, and so they would not talk about it. It was almost like taboo. So there were no conversations, there was no communities of women. So I wanted to write about it, and I eventually made a play about it, made a film, to stimulate the talk. Now, 2 years later, here we are talking about it. I think Oprah Winfrey did a primetime special around it. Halle Berry is giving her voice and herself to be the face of it. And we have the Michigan Women's Commission. And I've met Cheryl and Anna Rose and Janae, and they all are totally committed to this. So my story is that I couldn't find anybody that I could talk this over with. So I went through this by myself. I tried to talk about it, but everybody was kind of, I'm too young. And I think that having now, it's been a 12-year journey of menopause for me. And I think that being on the other side, I realized how powerful this stage of life is. It should be a rite of passage, like a bat mitzvah or some other very celebrated space. Because what I find on this side is freedom, full self-expression, a confidence, defining myself as a woman rather than having society or patriarchal society and point of view. Because, of course, men want you to stay young, perky, juicy, and therefore relevant. And I'm a grandmother, but I'm not on a rocking chair with my glasses on my nose, babysitting and have no life. I have dreams, and I'm not interrupted by periods or the depression or all of the things that come along with being menopausal. So we don't have to be afraid. I think my message is to embrace this stage of life, because when you erase how old you are and you try to mum's the word about it, you erase all that life experience, all the accomplishments, everything you've earned as being in the C-suite. You have to let me calculate. I can't say I got that in. And it's just too much work. And you can still be beautiful. We're not our grandmothers who mowed the fields and, did the hard work. We can stay young and healthy for a long time. And that's one of the things that I'm happy about the Women's Commission doing, bringing the awareness, the doctors, trying to get more doctors involved in this field so that we can, get insurance that we can afford so we can stay healthy because these things can be very serious. Like you said, cardiovascular health,
brain health,
breast cancer.
Can all be impacted by that.
Yeah.
But thank you for the courage to share your story long before this movement actually took hold. You said you were doing this for almost 12 years. Your film is out or coming out?
It's coming out June 12th.
Okay,
and people I can't wait.
And people can.
It's gonna come out on Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, and Google Play.
Okay.
So it's available for streaming.
Okay, so people can watch that and see. And the name of the actual name again? Would you share the name?
Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale. And I discuss a lot. I mean, there's a lot in it. I also talk about other taboo subjects like postpartum depression. About doing what you love to do, not being afraid to step out in life and take hold of your dream and realize it.
So I was asking you before the show, how long have you been an actress and a storyteller? And you said,
all my life. Yeah.
So
I've always loved the performing arts.
Yes.
And I started playing violin when I was in the 2nd grade. Started singing probably before that. My stepmother, Sadie, taught me a song, and I went to school and somebody said, anybody know a song? And I raised my hand and I stood up and sang, and people and the kids applauded, and I was like, what's this strange, why are they doing that? But it felt kind of good, and then somebody came and said, well, go to the library. I went to the library, they said, sing the same song you sang, and I sang it. I said, well, I like the sound of hands clapping.
Exactly.
So that explains the 50, your mother being 15, you being 14, and her, yes, she was always the one encouraging you, and it also helps to explain that kind of self-confidence that you have as well. When you talk to, and I know the Women's Commission has spoken to legislators, elected officials, men, women, others, what's the kind of reaction are you getting, are you hearing? What are you hearing from? the workplace, from men, from legislators?
For sure. So legislators, particularly the female legislators, are very excited and intrigued to see what needs to happen. And during the conversation where you were there on March 12th, Governor Whitmer really gave them almost marching orders of, all right, let's do this. Let's roll up the sleeves and get dirty and figure out how we can make this experience more just easier for everyone, regardless. Because as we mentioned, there are more than just women in the workplace, and so it affects them. And when it comes to men, it's definitely a mixed bag, but definitely on the positive side, which is really nice, because a lot of them just don't know, as Tori mentioned, of like, yeah, what even happens during that? And some women are like, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really don't know either. And so they seem super supportive thus far. And their survey I mentioned, regardless of the ability to go through menopause, 79% of respondents said that a menopause supportive workplace is important to them. So the world's ready, Michigan's ready to finally have these conversations and make change in the workplace and also in the health field, for sure.
That's fantastic. And so when you talk about employers, what are you hearing? Are they saying, what do you want them to do, Anna Rose? What do you want them to, what are they supposed to do to help?
The tie for first so far is flexible working schedules, work from home arrangements. And then the second one so far we're seeing is all about the hot flashes. So that's been something I've been hearing a lot recently, and people are saying that on the survey too. And so they're thinking something, even like a lactation station where it's somewhere just cooler for women to just regulate their body temperature and then go back out to work. So those are the two things we're seeing so far the most of.
And are employers embracing that? I mean, that seems like a simple ask. It's not a very costly ask. So what are you hearing? What kind of response are you getting?
We're getting very like, oh, it could be that easy, because again, just not a lot of people talk about it. And they realize that these kind of changes aren't costly, can retain more people in the workforce and keep women who are at their prime happy by literally turning a fan on, So I think we're getting a good sense of engagement so far.
And it's, people will say, some people are thinking probably, well, this is really good information, but the impact, in terms of lost productivity, in terms of women's health, and I think it was like 51, 52% of the workforce is women. It's growing all the time. If you want to keep women, if you want to attract women, those are some of the simple solutions that employers particularly can implement. And the economic impact of retaining the workforce that you have and making it an inviting workforce is critical. I used to always say you can invite someone in, but if they don't feel comfortable once they come in your house, they're not going to stay.
Right.
So you can invite them in and say, oh, we've got X% of women in our workforce, but unless you have a culture that makes them feel comfortable, they won't stay.
Right.
So when you talk about this, and you've been all over the state, right, talking about menopause.
Anna Rose has been all over.
Anna Rose has been all over the state talking about.
I'm working on it.
I understand there have been women in the room who just been in tears because they've never had an opportunity to talk about it. And seeing the actress, the most beautiful actress, Halle Berry, sharing her story, which you can find on video. There's a video of her doing that. What are some of the responses that you're hearing? We've got about 2 minutes left.
So the main responses we're hearing is thank you. And there are a few stories that just are absolutely awful. People are being misdiagnosed with something else, and it's just a menopausal symptom. People are getting diagnosed with certain cancers, and that's just not what it is. And other people are saying, I haven't been able to be myself for X amount of years. There was one person who was talking about, I didn't have a good sleep for the past 8 years because of uncomfortableness while she was sleeping. And so it's disheartening, but it's also, I'm so glad that they're able to speak about this proudly. So very much tears, but hopefully we can change that into change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just applaud, the governor and the other elected officials who are championing this cause. I was in a room once, I was getting ready to go into some bill signing, and the governor was in the room talking about breastfeeding, and I almost did like that, but it's that open conversation that's needed. People need to be able, and employers particularly, we need to be able to talk about that. Yes. Got 30 seconds left. Advice to women listening, men listening. What's some words of wisdom?
Wherever you are around a circle of women and men, if they're present, talk about menopause, talk about what's going on with you, because what I'm finding when I just talk in family circles, friend circles, the women are chomping at the bit. Oh my God, and they start talking about all kinds of things, fibroids, things that they've kept close.
Yes.
Or I sweat on the workplace.
Yeah.
And I say, my wish for you is that if you're in the boardroom and you break out in on a hot flash, that you can just sit right there with pride and mop it up, because workplaces weren't designed for
Right.
women.
Yeah, literally
We've
mop
had
it
to
up
fit in
sometimes.
there. Yeah. Mop it up.
Anna Rose?
I'll talk to people who aren't going through menopause but will, is listen.
Listen.
For so many generations, women can't tell their stories, and we are the listeners, and we need to do that more.
I appreciate that and appreciate both of you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
Thank
for
you so
sharing
much for
your
having
stories
us.
with us. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yes.
We hear a lot about cannabis today and about cannabis dispensaries. Dr. June, glad you're here. Tell us, do they work? Do they not work?
So that's still a controversial topic, although I personally don't know why physicians in general are still debating this. Marijuana, it's a long history of marijuana in the United States. It's been used for recreation as well as pain control. And we know how it works. We know its mechanism of action, and it's been used for many, 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 many decades for people that have chronic pain. And so now, with Michigan laws being what they are, it's relatively easy to actually go to a dispensary shop and be able to get non-medical grade marijuana, which works very similar to medical grade. And a lot of my elderly patients aren't eating well. They're in chronic pain for one reason or another. I say I have zero problem with it, and I actually recommend a lot of them to do that. I don't recommend smoking it, though, because it's still burnt hydrocarbons getting into people's lungs, which can activate your immune system. So edibles, and there's alternatives, and there's topical oils and stuff, lozenges you put under your tongue. I recommend them to my elderly patients who have chronic pain.
And are there any side effects?
Oh, of course. Depends on the type of marijuana it is and the dose. And you can have anything from feeling euphoric to having panic attacks because they call it a bad high. So it just depends on the type, concentration, and your body. So everybody's a little bit different. My recommendation of people who are going to try edibles is you start on the tiniest dose and do a tiny amount, half as much as they tell you or recommend, and then start there and see how your body reacts to it. I wouldn't go in there and just start, throwing them stuff in your system, because you have to find out how you're going to react to the product.
And prescription necessary, or just test and learn on your own?
No, not necessary for the recreational type, but for medical grade marijuana, you still do, if I recall correctly, need a card, and then you do need a permission, so to speak, to get this product. I don't really see a huge difference in Michigan, at least, between the two grades, but it just depends on the person.
News you can use. Thank you, Dr. June.
Right.
CATA's regional mobility solutions can help seniors seize the day. Hear what riders and community leaders have to say about the value CATA brings to the lives of aging adults.
My name is Louis Schnabelrausch. I'm 91, going on 92 years old. I have to depend on CATA a lot because I quit driving about 5 years ago. And it's a godsend for me. I shouldn't be driving, and because my reaction time is slower, my vision's not as good as it was 30 years ago. I ride free because I'm a veteran. Well, a lot of times I have to go to VA clinic on Cedar Street with the CATA. I use CATA 3 or 4 times a week. I use Ready Ride mostly. Sometimes go shopping. I ride free, and I appreciate that. Well, that's really something I don't have to pay to get on. Then I know that I can call them up, and they're pretty good about being punctual and stuff like that. I'll say that. I get to meet other people. I feel as it amazes me that some of the drivers will recognize somebody that they've seen 4 or 5 years ago. They remember their names. It amazes me how those on the CATA drivers, how helpful they are. I don't need help, but a lot of people do need help. And like they have a bicycle, they put that on the front, or like they'll bring some groceries out, they'll help them with the groceries, put them inside the car. So That impresses me.
I'm Tracy Anderson with Impart Alliance at Michigan State University. Today I'm here with Jennifer Digman from Mount Pleasant. We're here to talk about direct care and the impact that it has on your life. Tell me about direct care and what it means to you, Jennifer.
It means so very much because my disease, multiple sclerosis, has made it possible for me not to walk. I'm having trouble with my hands, and that's the variability of multiple sclerosis. But direct care workers, they can come into my house, and depending what my needs are that day, they can help with everything from going to the grocery store or helping me. For heaven's sakes, Jen will take me to the post office so that I can mail letters, and if I need to go somewhere, that they can help. Jen can help with that. Or little things like cooking dinner so that Dan can have meals when he's done working, because my husband also lives with multiple sclerosis. And Jen not only cares for me, but she can help by making my life easier. It helps Dan, so his day-to-day existence is better. And direct care does that.
And direct care allows you to stay in your home, which everybody deserves.
Everyone deserves that, and everybody knows that waking up in your own bed and living your own home, it really makes your life so much more rewarding and fulfilling, and the way it should be.
Absolutely. Thank you. To learn more about Impart Alliance and our advocacy around direct care, please visit our website at impartalliance.msu.edu.
Do you own a cottage or some property that you really want to protect? David, how do we do that? And if you're older adult, I mean, there's only a certain amount of time you can really enjoy a cottage.
That's right. That's right. Well, there's a life cycle to cottages, okay? And it's a tragic life cycle way too often. See, when you're a little kid, the cottage is magic. Right. Oh, can't wait to go to the cottage. You learn to swim, you learn to fish, that kind of thing. When you're a teenager,
I don't want to go to the cottage.
Yeah, grandma smells funny. Yeah. I don't want to go, right? But you're too cool. When you're a young adult, you don't need the cottage. You've got other things going, okay? But when you have your own kids, a little bit later on, oh, what happened to grandma's cottage? Oh, we sold it back when you were looking to pay the rent, or something like this, you see? So all too often, what we have are memories of the cool cottage that used to be, but we've got to get through that young adult phase, okay? Right. When you do an estate plan properly, you get through that phase. You prohibit people just selling off. You've got to have everybody, unanimity, everybody's got to agree on that. And what we found is when you plan for that, number one, you don't lose the cottage to the nursing home, which is routine. It's where the family farm is going as well. But number one, we don't lose the cottage, and we preserve it for that next generation. So it can be as magical for your great-grandkids as it was for your own kids.
I love it. What a great story. People never think about that. So hopefully that's news you can use. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Don't you appreciate open, honest communication? One thing that you can do is share this information with others. Don't keep it to yourself. And thank you for watching Real Possibilities.